We have excuses that trap us in life. Excuses are barriers that we create between ourselves and our potential. If the ambitions, aspirations, and goals in our mind are to be achieved, we seem to let a number of excuses stand in the way. We say we are too busy, too tired, too old, too young, too inexperienced, or simply not good enough. However, the truth is that these excuses are nothing more than mental barriers we construct, limiting our growth and success. To break the excuses, one has to understand what they truly are. Excuses are based on some kind of fear, be it fear of failing, fear of being judged, or knowing what lies ahead, and it's the same fear that makes us immobile and keeps our souls anchored into our comfort zones. We become safe, not satisfied. We face the fear head on. For growth, we have to acknowledge that it hurts a little. It is meant to be uncomfortable. The path to self-improvement and success requires hard work, rather than easy passage, but with strong character through resilience, determination, and an indomitable commitment to ourselves. We must learn to differentiate between valid reasons and excuses. Here are legitimate reasons life throws our way and which may slow us down. There are health issues, financial problems, family responsibilities, but most of the time, we give reasons that are not based on reality but on our fear of leaving our comfort zones. Real power comes from being honest with our lives. But when we start giving excuses, we should ask ourselves whether it is a valid reason or an excuse. This self-reflection is decisive in breaking the cycle of inaction. To kill our excuses, we must cultivate a mindset of accountability. Accountability means taking responsibility for our actions and decisions. It involves owning up to our failures and setbacks without blaming external circumstances. Accepting responsibility for what we have in our lives empowers us to take control of our situations. Sometimes this shift in perspective is metamorphic enough. Rather than feeling overwhelmed by the seemingly insurmountable obstacles before us, we might view the challenges we face as growth opportunities. Every failure will teach us something, and every setback brings us closer to the destination if learned from. A very effective tool for attaining accountability is goal setting. Clear and actionable goals allow us to chart out our lives on paper. However, writing them down alone is not enough. A plan for those goals needs to be devised. This plan needs to be in terms of SMART objectives, which stand for specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound. Through the breaking of large goals into smaller, manageable steps, we can monitor our progress and keep ourselves accountable. Every time we complete a small stride, we build speed and confidence that keeps driving us forward. Another potent weapon in defeating excuses is the visualization technique. Visualization is the technique used by so many successful people, from athletes to entrepreneurs. It is a method of envisioning ourselves succeeding at our goals and feeling the emotions connected to that triumph. Such mental rehearsal gives one the propulsion to have the motivation to get motivated again and again in positive reinforcement. It suggests that our moves toward success are the tangible actions taken to create the picture of success. A very active form to train our minds to consider possibilities rather than limitations is vividly visualizing how we may overcome those limitations and reach to our goals. Apart from visualization, positive influences really shape the ability to kill excuses. Who we spend our time with can either make or mar our mindset or attitudes. If you spend time mostly with losers, then the attitude that bleeds from them will find a way into your beliefs and eventual behavior. Conversely, by spending time with motivated people who have goals for life, you begin to aspire to be better. We can look out for mentors, join groups that suit our goals, or just hang out with friends who lift us up. The right influence would make us energetic and move on, breaking the excuses that bar our growth. Second, one has to embrace the culture of taking risks. Sometimes, the fear of failure forces us to continue in a comfort zone where we feel safe but stagnant. Taking risks is also leaving unknown territories, which is quite frightening. However, every successful person has once or more experience taking risks and failures. The difference, however, is the willingness to learn from those mistakes and persisting in the face of adversity. Calculated risks would again open people's eyes to new opportunities and experiences that would help them grow. Another important element of killing excuses involves the acquisition of strength or resilience, which is the ability to bounce back quickly from adversity or setbacks. Life, as defined, goes up and comes down. There would be hard times while there would also be easy times. Still, for people to be resilient, they would see setbacks as merely temporary and solvable. They realize that one's failure does not dictate one's worth, but leads to success. Practices of self-compassion and having a growth mindset can help cultivate resilience. Treating ourselves to small doses of kindness and understanding in tough times means that we learn how to engage tough challenges more easily. After killing excuses, we must celebrate little victories. Oftentimes, people concern themselves with marking progress at the end, but much importance lies in this. Small triumphs are celebrated to increase our motivation further, since these remind us of our capabilities to perform the tasks. For instance, we could treat ourselves to something nice after completing a job or share it with friends who care about us. We experience a positive feedback loop by finding our successes, which encourages us to continue striving for more. Another important component of beating excuses is exercising self-discipline. Self-discipline, the act of pushing you to take action even when you do not feel like it. It is what creates the system of habits and routines to lead towards desired goals. Discipline is not about rigidity or flexibility at all, but putting down a structure that will support your growth. For instance, we might design an exercise schedule by exercising as part of our daily activities if our goal is to become fit. And by having these habits, we start gaining momentum and getting better. In a way, it silences our inner critic and its excuses. Another important habit that is crucial in our killing excuses journey is learning to be uncomfortable with stuff. Growth often happens outside the zone of comfort. Discomfort has to be faced while pursuing our goal. At times, we will face the challenging one, a difficult decision, or even a harsh conversation. Instead of avoiding discomfort, we can redefine this as a progress sign. Each time we push ourselves beyond limits, we stretch our capabilities and grow our resilience. Embracing discomfort allows us to grow into the individuals we aspire to be. Besides, perfection isn't the goal of interaction between humans. Most of us are trapped in the snare of waiting for that perfect moment or conditions for something to happen. That kind of thinking pattern feeds into procrastination and eventually to excuses. Instead of being perfectionists, we should be concerned with movement. Improvement, after all, is an area that cannot be perfectly accomplished. Instead, we can adopt the mindset of good enough and take imperfect action toward our goals. Every step to the front, no matter how small, is a step in the right direction. Besides taking action, cultivating gratitude will also kill excuses. When one practices gratitude, he focuses away from what lacks, but on what he has. This change of heart can energize us and give up the feeling of helplessness. From then on, we stop complaining about our problems and be thankful instead for the resources and opportunities that make our lives easier. Attitude now becomes very optimistic, and we find it easier to overcome our excuses and act positively toward our goals. Gratitude, incorporated in our daily lives, can help us to be more resilient and proactive. A good motivator is also in the strong why behind our goals. If we understand the deeper reason that we must achieve our goals, instead of resorting to excuses, it is less likely to let go of it. Our why serves like a guiding light, which reminds us not to forget the importance of our aspirations. We can write down our why, and we can reflect on it from time to time, especially during difficult times. This connection to our purpose can help rekindle the fire in us and remind us of how much difference those goals can make for us and even to other people as well. Practicing mindfulness can also empower us not to justify excuses. Mindfulness is when we actually exist in the present, feeling every thought and emotion that comes without judgment. With mindfulness, we may realize excuses for what they are and confront the emotions behind them. With this awareness, we act rather than react. We do not get off track based on fear or self-doubt, but instead stop and reflect on our choice to take action despite the unease we now feel. Mindfulness helps us break a vicious circle of negative thinking and making excuses. In conclusion, we are never done killing our excuses. It is not a one-time deal, but a lifelong promise to ourselves and our growth. As we go through life, more challenges and hindrances will emerge, and old excuses resurface. We must remain vigilant and proactive. Periodic self-audits of our goals, habits, and attitudes can help us stay on track. By taking up a growth mindset and being unable to look at problems as an opportunity to learn and grow, we will keep pushing over the barriers to achieve our aspirations. Conclusion: the ability to kill our excuses is indeed an active act of self-empowerment. It involves facing our fears, discomfort, and assuming responsibility over our lives. Responsibility, resiliency, and a growth mindset open up ways for us to break free from our excuses. Yes, the journey of personal improvement has its challenges, but if we are motivated enough to drive towards progress and exercise patience in the process, we may be able to finally excel on our own merits. After all, the only limits that exist are the ones we place on ourselves. It's the time when we have to make some action and shut the excuses by taking birth ourselves. We'll move along as we kill our excuses and must realize our mind will create our reality and outcome. Our perception of ourselves and what we can do determines our behavior. If we believe we are limited, we are creating a self-fulfilling prophecy that confirms our excuses. Possibility thinking opens doors to great possibility and opportunity. It is only through self-awareness that this change comes into being. It is looking into our thought patterns and knowing the stories we make up to us. Are we dwelling a lot on our weaknesses? Are we pinpointing our failures more than our successes? Self-digging is painful, but it has to be done if we are to break the cycle of excuses. It can all start with the identification and then rejection of negative self-talk. One fine way to contribute to an increase in self-awareness is journaling. If we write down our thoughts and feelings, we can gain clarity and become more acutely aware of recurring excuses that are holding us back. On paper, excuses often lose their magic. We can then critically analyze them by asking ourselves questions like, what evidence do I have for this excuse? Or what would I say to a friend who said this in the first place? This practice may even make us more compassionate and realistic regarding our challenges. Nonetheless, embracing the concept of lifelong learning is very crucial in overcoming excuses. The world keeps changing, so the knowledge and skills we have today will not be enough for tomorrow's challenges. We develop new competencies based on the sense of curiosity, readiness to learn, and willingness to take the tough challenges head-on and attempt to overcome those challenges. We may seek formal education or mentorship or self-directed learning through books, online courses, or workshops. At the same time, disciplinary actions deprive of all excuses from murder. Though motivation is unstable, discipline always gives something positive on which it is possible to rely. Discipline is about how to develop habits aligned with goals and to stick to them at the time when motivation is low. The commitment may result in making a daily routine, dedicating time for concentrated work, or practicing time management techniques for prioritizing tasks. As we build discipline, so should patience. Change does not come overnight. We may toil day and night, but our effort does not always reveal overnight success. That is where the import of perseverance comes into play. It's quite easy for one to go back to old excuses if things are not moving or just moving slowly. But with a resilient mindset, one knows going through challenges is part of the game. With every step, small as it may be, we always move toward growth and finally toward success. In addition, one can find inspiration from the examples of others who have handled similar circumstances. The inspiring biographies, documentaries, and motivational speeches can be that tiny spark within us. Such stories remind us that we don't walk in our loneliness, and that each of those who made it big conquered. These stories relate us to get strength and inspiration from others and fuel in our determination to push beyond our excuses. In fact, it is the setup of the supportive environment that will become very impactful in helping us kill excuses. Such an environment encompasses our physical surroundings and people we are going to regularly interact with. Enabling a space that encourages productivity and minimizes distractions helps us push through goals. Decluttering our workspace or setting boundaries with people who drain our energy can foster the atmosphere needed for success. Besides the physical milieu, it shall also make a vital impact by the network of supportive people surrounding us. Such a network could consist of friends and family, colleagues, or even online communities with similar aspirations. Interaction with like-minded people holds one accountable while encouraging the stamina to overcome excuses. For this reason, sharing our goals with people not only makes it hard to pull in when we need an excuse to cave in, but also allows us to take joy in the power of affirmations that will align our minds toward the targeted outcome. Affirmations, by definition, are positive statements challenging our limiting beliefs and reinforcing our capabilities. Thus, repeating the same self-affirming statement each day can ultimately change our patterns of thinking so that we have a much more empowering image of ourselves. We can adopt the attitude, "I can handle anything," instead of just thinking to ourselves, "I cannot do it." A small shift will make us feel more confident and sometimes determined to take action despite some personal fears. It's also worth noting that the journey should be enjoying. Very often, we get so stuck in our heads about the end result that we forget to enjoy the journey of getting there. Acknowledging and celebrating small wins fosters a positive mindset and keeps us motivated. This may involve treating ourselves after finishing a tough task, sharing our achievement with friends, or just dwelling on how much we have traversed in our journey. The acknowledgement of our efforts creates a positive feedback system that continues encouraging us to move forward. Furthermore, the role of reflection while on our journey is also paramount. Regularly taking time to reflect on our experiences allows us to evaluate what works and what doesn't. This practice can help us identify patterns in our excuses, understand our triggers, and develop strategies to address them. Reflection can involve journaling, meditating, or simply sitting quietly to contemplate our thoughts and feelings. This process of introspection equips us with the insights needed to navigate future challenges more effectively. And along the way to our achievements, we have to develop gratitude. Gratitude focuses us on what we have and not on what we don't. It makes us a more optimistic person when we value the resources, support, and opportunities in our lives. This can reduce the feelings of overwhelm and inadequacy many times, making it easier to take action despite our fears. Practicing gratitude daily, whether through journaling or simply reflecting on the positives in our lives, can cultivate resilience and reinforce our commitment to overcoming excuses. In the grand design of personal growth, we all must take the fact that setbacks are part of the journey. This mindset of growth helps view failures as opportunities to learn within them rather than definitive endings. Whenever we encounter obstacles, we can ask ourselves what there is to learn from such an experience. Reframing our setbacks as meaningful lessons comes down to a way of thinking which fosters resilience, even while giving us the encouragement to move forward. We can also make use of technology to aid us in killing excuses. There are countless applications and tools online that will help us manage our activity, time management, and track our achievements. If applied, these would lighten our efforts, remind us, and get us back on track. Maybe a habit tracker, maybe a project management tool, or an app calendar. The tool will add more productivity and put our excuses off track. Moreover, we can utilize the strength of a community to get us what we want. Joining sets or organizations which encourage our passion would instill motivation, responsibility, and belonging in us. Interaction with people having the same aspirations gives us a feeling of brotherhood that helps conquer the difficulties. It could be a fitness group, professional network, or an online community. Connecting with others seems to magnify our motivation and encourages us to do something. As we continue in the process of removing excuses, self-compassion must have to be practiced. Being lenient with oneself in the midst of struggle is absolutely important. We are all humans and bound to stumble and fall. We can then treat ourselves with the kindness we would offer a friend instead of being overly judgmental or critical. This self-compassion builds resilience and helps one bounce back with renewed intent from the difficulties. In simple terms, killing one's excuses is a multi-lane highway requiring not only self-awareness but accountability, a touch of discipline, and a supportive environment. We can break our chains of excuses here by challenging our limiting beliefs, embracing discomfort, and growing the mindset. Realize that progress toward your personal growth is not a straight line, and failure is incorporated into the process. The most important thing is to be devoted to making progress, turning any obstacle into something where you can learn and grow. Ultimately, the biggest weapon we have against excuses is our mindset. All it takes is a shift from the word limit to possibility to unlock your potential. Let's put all this in behind us and start taking our lives into our own hands. The power to change starts from inside us and gains its strength by acting. It gives the life we want and should have. Take the journey, then love each step you take. For everything you do marks an inch closer to what you want. Change is now, at the end of every excuse. Hold your bold step into the life you envision. Along the way with this fantastic journey, it is vital to note that killing of excuses should bring both removal of obstacles and creation of a growth and resilience mindset for any individual. Every step taken and every excuse confronted results in personal development. We therefore need to keep watch over ourselves to ensure we are developing habits that would actually instill the mindset into practice. One of the very common practices engaged in these cultures is the activity of reflection and self-evaluation. Regularly taking time to evaluate our progress allows us to celebrate our achievements and identify areas for improvement. This can be formal, such as weekly or monthly reviews, or informal, such as a quiet moment of introspection at the end of the day. We kind of see how strategies have worked and what changes need to be made to take it forward. In addition, the resources that fill our lives and inspire and motivate can have a huge effect on our mindset. Reading or listening to material from books or podcasts and seminars on personal development helps us think beyond our limitations. Material forces us to think about our understanding of growth and can recharge the commitment to end killing excuses. We then believe in and value change when we expose ourselves to positive and empowering stories. For a fact, storytelling is never minor in our life journeys. The sharing of what we go through and have succeeded in tells us we are together. It will make one feel that we were not the ones to face the struggles alone, and many have been through a similar one. This comfort and encouragement that we derive from it for already knowing that over of excuses is something common to humans. Additionally, hearing the stories of others can inspire us to persevere through our own obstacles. As we continue to dismantle our excuses, we must also remain open to feedback. Constructive criticism can be a powerful catalyst for growth. We go further in our capacity to open ourselves up to new ways of thinking by consulting with trusted friends, mentors, or even colleagues to discover possible blind spots. Feedback can be such a mirror reflecting our strengths and weaknesses as well, and guide us toward areas that need improvement. When we have open-mindedly received feedback, it serves to encourage constant improvement and strengthens us in not being able to be bound by weaknesses. An important area of this journey is building up a vision for our future. The best kind of vision is a clear and compelling one and serves like a guiding star, illuminating the path on which to take. That is because the more vivid your picture of where you want to go, the more likely you're going to do it. Vision boards, for one example, can help paint an intense idea of ultimate goals and put them in our minds always. It makes it something tangible that we are working towards and keeps this at the forefront of our minds on a daily basis. Ignite passion and drive. We also need to recognize setbacks do not necessarily mean failure, but actually provide the opportunity for learning and progression. When in this position, it is hard to avoid becoming an excuse maker. But we need to learn to consciously perceive such moments as stepping stones rather than roadblocks. Each experience offers us valuable lessons, which can make it easier for us to become more resilient and more determined. This reframes our view of failures and fosters an adaptive, forward-thinking mentality. To eliminate excuses once and for all, we must work toward an active practice of gratitude. Gratitude teaches us to be positive, focusing on what we have instead of what we do not have. The best practice related to it is keeping a gratitude journal. Writing down the things for which we are thankful regularly trains our minds to always recognize abundance in our lives. As such, this act improves our general being and rededication of confidence that we have what it takes to stay on top of such obstacle throughout life. Moreover, we should develop a sense of purpose for whatever thing we do. Purpose becomes that anchor which motivates us despite the hassle. For when we do what we value and care for, that very piece of meaning goes into the commitment we require to meet our goal. Discovering our core values and how they connect to what we want will help us make decisions that reflect who we are. In addition, the need for self-care cannot be underestimated in our efforts to kill excuses. Therefore, taking care of our physical, emotional, and mental well-being is very important to keep all the energy and focus needed to pursue our goal. This may encompass exercise, good diet, proper sleep, and engaging in things that make us happy and relaxed. When we prioritize self-care, we lay a strong foundation that will support the resilience and determination to get beyond the odds and stay committed to vision. Developing the culture of experimentation will guide us to be bold and make it easy to stop giving excuses and open our minds to possibilities. Rather than fearing failure, we begin to see every attempt as an opportunity to learn something new. This attitude propels us to move out of our comfort zone as well as allows us to try other new things in whatever phase of life we are in. By looking at our endeavors as experiments, we spark curiosity that enlivens our passion for growth and discovery. As we are breaking the barriers of excuses, we have to learn the proper use of our time. It is an important competence skill, enabling us to allocate our resources prudently and prioritize those that accordingly align with our goals. The Pomodoro technique, time blocking, or the Eisenhower matrix, for example, might help us reach that high productivity and minimize procrastination. The ability to be intentional with our time, therefore, gives room for action and movement and discourages the possible uptake of excuses. Boundary setting is not to be overlooked. Healthy boundaries look after time and energy with clear goals. One can learn when to refuse distractions or commitments that do not align with one's vision. In doing so, we preserve our time and energy, something that has a tendency to nurture growth and progress, thus making excuses easier to overcome. The more we try to kill our excuses, the more we have to be flexible. Life is unpredictable, and changes take place in ways we cannot predict. Flexibility allows us to change our plans and strategies accordingly to ensure that we do not derail from achieving our goals even when we face unexpected challenges. Adaptation encourages resilience and keeps going forward regardless of our past walk of failures. Additionally, we must cultivate the habit of celebrating our progress. Recognition and celebration of these small achievements strengthen our commitment to ourselves regarding our goals and motivate further action. This may only be rewarding ourselves with something special after reaching a milestone, sharing with loved ones the achievements, or taking just one moment of reflection on how far one has come. Celebrating our progress boosts our motivation and serves as a reminder of our capabilities, empowering us to continue pushing past our excuses. Ultimately, it will be very personal in that everyone's journey toward killing their excuses will vary with individual experience, values, and ideals. However, responsibility and accountability, self-awareness, resilience, and growth are principles applicable to all. Embracing these can become the firm undergirding for the labor to kill our excuses and move toward accomplishment. In a nutshell, changing lives is in our hands. We have mastery and can dispel excuses holding us back from unlocking our capacity to become much better versions of ourselves. Cultivating the mindset of growth, supportive environment, and resilience allows us to navigate all life presents. All the steps that we take bring us a few steps closer to the life we envision. It's time to put words into action, stop giving excuses, and take the journey toward a more fulfilling and empowered existence. The road may be tough, but we will find out that the rewards of perseverance, growth, and achievement would far outweigh the temporary discomfort of stepping outside our comfort zones. Let's embrace this journey and build up the lives we want and deserve. As we walk on this road of removing excuses from our lives, we also have to recognize the pursuit of SMART goals: specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and time-bound. Such a structure allows one not just to define what he or she intends to do, but also sets direction on how to get there. If my intentions are clear, I can move huge ticket items into manageable steps, lighten the weight of aspiring dreams. So if we say, I want to be fit, instead we have a more specific goal like, I want to run a 5K in 3 months. That's the kind of concrete goal from which you can then develop smaller interim targets, such as how to improve the distance that you can run each week, or how you can integrate some strength training in your life. We, therefore, avoid the fallacy of being grounded by the huge goal while making incremental progress toward a clear action plan. Additionally, there is a need to build accountability mechanisms in place. Sharing our goals with a trusted friend, mentor, or coach can create a sense of responsibility and motivate us to follow through. This can come in the form of regular check-ins, progress updates, or even joining a group with similar objectives. When we know that someone else is invested in our success, we're more likely to stay committed and push through our excuses. In addition to external accountability, we should also work to develop self-discipline. This comes through defining routines and habits that fit the goal being sought. Routine makes the process of making decisions automatic, since it provides an opportunity to take action regardless of the motivation level. While we may so wish to write a book, we dedicate ourselves to writing a given time every day, and eventually makes the task a non-negotiable part of our day. This is congruent to gaining momentum and lower chances of excuses in laying their way. While discipline is paramount, flexibility in approach should also not be forgotten. Life is unpredictable, and plans can go awry due to obstacles arising that disturb our fixed routines. When this happens, it's essential to adapt rather than succumb to excuses. Embracing flexibility allows us to pivot and find alternative solutions without losing sight of our goals. For example, if something maybe comes up, scheduling conflict happens for us and we cannot exercise at our usual time, there's another possible option, like fitting the workout into some other part of the day. Another key component of the path to eliminating excuses. It has to do with visualization. Visualization is a very productive technique, imagining that we are performing in our capacity to succeed at our goals. Such activities will engage the subconscious part of our brain and instill confidence within us. The more vivid the picture, the more solid a mental blueprint it forms that might guide our actions and decisions. Thus, an athlete will visualize crossing the finish line or the professional completing a successful presentation. Such mental images construct our motivation when things get tough and help to overcome obstacles when the time comes. It also makes it easy for us to realize and come out of the fear of failure as in our pursuit for success. Many excuses arise from a deep-seated fear of failing to measure up or disappoint ourselves and others. However, a new perspective of failure can be truly transformative. Failure could then be seen, instead of as something that goes wrong, as an integral part of the learning process. Every failure creates valuable insight that can be used for guiding our further action and decisions. We must understand failure as an opportunity to move forward, which helps to reduce its power over us and avoid making excuses when we face difficulties. We must also surround ourselves with positive influences. The people we interact with can have a huge impact on our mindset and the motivational factors. Engaging with people who inspire and motivate us could build an environment where one lives a life of growth and resilience. On the other hand, negative, draining, toxic relationships may only serve to maintain those excuses within us. Sorting through our friendships and entangling our lives with those who uplift our aspirations can be one of the most important steps in our journey toward eliminating excuses. As we continue killing our excuses, we need to pay even closer attention to our self-talk. Language that describes experience, challenges, and abilities will establish our beliefs and subsequent behaviors. Negative self-talk tends to create a self-fulfilling prophecy. In other words, our beliefs about our limitations will keep us from taking actions. But instead, we can actually think positively with the right self-affirmation and replace those negative thoughts with empowering statements. So from saying, "I cannot do this," we can redirect into, "I am capable of overcoming challenges." This simple change of speech can actually build more resilience to excuses and allows people to be more considerate of their progress and how it relates to their goals. At times, with growth and development, our desires might change. We regularly readjust our goals in relation to our values and needs. This reflection gives me the chance to steer as directed, to steer away from excuses and complacency to ensure I stay true to my path. We do need to celebrate achievements, but most importantly, the courage to pivot when necessary. Furthermore, we can make our journey much more enriching by applying some mindfulness into our daily lives. In this respect, mindfulness practices, such as meditation or deep breathing, can foster awareness and a sense of presence. With greater awareness, we are much more conscious of the moment when excuses start rolling in and provide us with the know-how to deal with excuses constructively. Being more grounded in the present moment can free us from anxiety over what might happen in the future and guide us to act meaningfully. Adding to that, fostering creativity will also be the most crucial role for our endeavor against excuses. Engaging in creative activities such as art, writing, and music will result in new expressions of thinking and solving problems. Creativity makes one look for alternative ways of solving a problem. Thus, one finds it easier to avoid making excuses. It can also reignite our passion and motivation, reminding us of the joy and fulfillment that comes from pursuing our interests and goals. As we navigate the complexities of life, it's important to cultivate resilience and patience. Achieving meaningful change takes time, and we must remain committed to the process, even when progress feels slow. A long-term perspective can be just what we need to help us not get discouraged by temporary setbacks, but to stay fixed on the final destination. Every step taken is a part of the journey, and with perseverance, we are empowered to overcome obstacles that may get in the way between us and our aspirations. From this, killing excuses takes on a multifaceted journey which touches on self-awareness, discipline, accountability, and being growth-oriented. It requires one to confront his/her limiting beliefs, adoption of vulnerabilities, and commitment to continuous growth. If we are able to make resilience, flexibility, and a prosperity mentality part of our portfolio, we take the reins as we transcend through barriers. Growth and self-actualization come with stumbling blocks, but the opportunities for growth, discovery, and fulfillment are there. Taking action to eliminate the excuses will make us recall our agency and take charge of our lives again. Let's commit to this journey by facing every stumbling block as a stepping stone towards our goals. The time for action is now, and with determination and courage, we can create the lives we envision, free from the constraints of excuses. As we take each step forward, we must remember that the power lies within us and is waiting to be unleashed.